Hi everyone. 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez is the most famous novel not only from Colombia but from the entire Latin America. Also, it has the catchiest novel title ever. In this video, I'll tell you about the author, summarize the novel, tell you what it's about, its major themes, and the reason why you should read it. I'll also tell you why this novel is a little bit more than that. It's a novel about one grandmother and the entire human species. First, let me tell you a little bit about the country. Colombia is named after an Italian boy who got lost on his way to India. Christopher Columbus believed he had found a shortcut to India. People say women are bad with direction. Colombia is a country of 50 million people, mostly Catholic and close to the equator. As we will see in this novel, I think grandmas are the most important people in Colombia. If you disagree, please write a comment. Colombia is also known for its coffee, very good looking people, and great literature. Okay, who is Gabriel Garcia Marquez? Well, he is the most famous Latin American writer. He was born in 1927 and died in 2014. He won the Nobel Prize in 1982. He was a socialist and a very close friend of Fidel Castro, the Cuban leader. And in 1976, he was actually punched in the face by another Latin American Nobel Prize winner from Peru, the politically conservative Mario Vargas Llosa. The political difference didn't help, but Llosa punched him because Mr. Marquez had actually slept with his wife. Gabriel Garcia Marquez's other popular novel is Love in the Time of Cholera, based on his parents' love story. His parents had 11 kids, but his father had actually 15 kids. So Mr. Marquez was raised by his grandma, who gave us the most important character in this book. Okay, now back to our novel. 100 Years of Solitude was first published in Spanish in 1967 and translated in English 1971. It's about 420 pages, so it will take you about 8 hours of solid reading. A short Mexican novel called Pedro Paramo, which I will review in another video, inspired Marquez to write this masterpiece. It's not an easy novel to summarize as it covers too many characters in a long period of time, but it's a story of 7 generations of Buendia family in a town in the middle of jungle. It all starts when Jose Arcadio Buendia kills a man for insulting him. He and his wife Ursula have to leave their home. They wander for a long time until one night Jose dreams about a city of mirrors that reflect the world. They found a new city called Macondo, which is the setting for this novel. In a way, this town represents the entire world. Macondo, believed to be surrounded by water on all sides, is isolated and they think they are the only inhabitants of the known world. The couple, Jose and Ursula, have kids, and their kids have kids, and their kids have more kids, until 7 generations of the same family. But soon other people show up. First the gypsies, then soldiers of the civil wars, the railway, and finally capitalism. Colombia appears out of nowhere to claim sovereignty over Macondo. And this brings politics, warfare, revolution, violence, and strange happenings like years of insomnia. At the end, Macondo is ruined and abandoned, and only one person remains of the once huge Buendia family, and he is isolated and about to die. The novel is full of sex, violence, infidelity, murders, executions, strange happenings until the town falls like a fallen empire. Soon everything is wiped out completely. The first generation die of natural causes, the second to fourth generations due to wars and violence, and the fifth generations are killed by their kids, and the last ones are eaten by ants. Now, who is the hero of this novel? The novel has so many characters who are prominent at some point in the novel until they die and replaced by somebody else. So it's really hard to know who the novel is about or who are the real heroes in this novel. The main hero, I think, is Ursula, who is a wife at the beginning, then becomes a mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, and great-great-grandmother, and lives to be over 100 years old. As she witnesses her husband, children, and grandchildren, and even great-grandchildren die one by one due to old age, violence, stupidity, etc. She doesn't lead men to their death or make any scientific discoveries or invent anything, but she remains alive for 80% of the novel to care for them. The title of 100 Years of Solitude refers to her lonely life after every death or disappearance in her family. The story goes on for more than 100 years, but she suffers a lot because she outlives almost everyone. This is a good example of long life means more suffering. She's a religious woman and a matriarch, and despite most of the events in the novel not directly involving her, she watches the madness as the men in their life do stupid things for money, power, sex, yet she remains to feel the pain and solitude. She's also very funny. Some of the most endearing scenes involve Ursula, so I really loved her character. At the end, she dies alone. Not many people were at her funeral because not many had left. Her death brings the demise of the family altogether. In a way, it's a metaphor that when a woman dies, so does the village, town, and civilization. I think Gabriel Garcia Marquez paid homage to his own grandma, who raised him as a child, as his father had 14 other kids to look after. What is the novel about? Two things. First, history is cyclical. If there's one thing that this novel does brilliantly, it's the stupidity of men repeated in every generation. Not women, men. The novel also suggests that since men are quite predictable in their actions, they're also very dispensable. Men kill each other for power, money, and women. Almost too predictable. And you know who suffers the most? Women. Some people suggested that this novel is somewhat sexist, but I have to disagree. If anything, this novel exposes how terrible men are. The novel also evokes sadness as you witness one generation comes and the other one goes. The cyclical nature of time. We think we are new on Earth, but we are part of a cycle and recycle. Millions of people have come and gone before us, and we are next to go and more are coming. The only continuity is grandmas. They stay behind to safeguard tradition. The second important theme of this novel is solitude. We humans are alone on Earth for 100 or 200,000 years. No God to hold our hands. Humans have discovered, invented, and produced everything on Earth to survive, thrive, and rule. In that sense, we are alone. The only species who is aware of its own death and aware of its own existence. The only species asking the question why or what purpose. We are so alone that we have invented gods, religions, and stories like security blankets to cope with our solitude. Also, on an individual level, we are born alone, live alone, and die alone. This novel is like a miniaturized history of humanity, condensed into a single town. At the heart of it is the rise and fall of a single family. Macondo is a synthesis of human history from the time when things had no names to the arrival of capitalism. The novel covers everything from large to small, the passage of time as it slows down, speeds up, expands, and contracts throughout the novel. One could say it's a very human-centered view of the world, so it doesn't really include animals and plants as part of human story. Solitude as a concept is a human invention and based on the idea of individualism. One cannot talk about this novel without talking about magic realism. I am not a big fan of magic realism, to be honest, but this novel by Gabriel Garcia Marquez has done a brilliant job as he uses magic realism to create comedy, enhance storytelling, and condense and expand time. For example, to collapse a long period of history into a single event, like the year of insomnia, or a woman so beautiful that men literally die, created really beautiful illusions that are more powerful than the real. Men do kill each other for women. Also, the magic realism is not the entire plot, so it's used sparingly, and that's what I like about this novel. Another interesting thing about this novel is the tragic comedy of human life. On the verge of death, characters remember their childhood, discovery of ice, or their firstborn, to create a really powerful contrast or perspective of one's life in its entirety. In memory, time collapses to create two contrasting events side by side. When life is condensed, it becomes funny because sometimes some decisions don't make sense or seem bizarre when seen through the lens of their outcomes. This is more true in politics and wars. The funniest and most tragic hero is, of course, Ursula, as she lives long enough to understand the absurdity of human actions. There are also other funny bits in the novel, for example, the town prostitute where men apparently go for therapy. Or at birth, babies are checked if they have a tail, as people are worried that they're turning into monkeys. The narrator uses hyperbole to exaggerate the length of time, number of people, size of things to make the narrative very funny. It has so many good things that talking about its weakness seems trivial, but one thing that makes it unique is also its weakness. The narrative is very choppy, which makes it hard to follow sometimes. For the most part, it is told in a linear method, but the events are given a lot of detail, so there are some jump cuts, like in a choppy movie. Another issue I felt was the repetitiveness of the events, people, and stories. As generations come and go, they pretty much do the same things over and over. Human life is for the most part pretty boring. So the middle of novel isn't very interesting to read. I think a lot of people get there and lose interest. A more ideological criticism is it's very eurocentric, as it gives no rooms for the myths and tales of the native Indians in Colombia or South America. I should point out that you don't read this novel for its plot. You read it for the experience, the insights, and the dramas of human existence, and the beautiful language. Reading this feels like sitting on a hilltop and watching people appear, live their lives, then disappear. But with the corner of your eyes, you always see one person sticking around, just like you, the reader. It's Ursula, the grandma, the fiercest, the kindest, and the funniest person in Macondo, or even in Colombia. So by reading it, you make sure that she isn't in solitude anymore. She has you, the reader, for company. She is amazing. Read this book if you really love your grandmother. Other than the book itself, that's the best reason I can give you to read this book. Next week, I'll be in Mexico to talk about a novel that inspired Garcia Marquez to write this novel. So please tune in. Let me know what you think about this novel, and I would love to read your comments about it. If you enjoyed this video, please help me by subscribing, sharing, and commenting on this video. I'm on a journey to read fiction from every country on earth. So please make suggestions for books from your country or the countries you've read. Thank you.